The story of the last 3 centuries of San Antonio is not an easy one to tell for historians, especially in the beginning. There were literally dozens of versions of each historical event. Now, a passionate podcaster in San Antonio is taking on the job, telling the stories your history books could not.
Welcome to A New History of Old San Antonio.
A New History of Old San Antonio is chock-a-block full of revelations, like the first cowboys were Mexican Tejanos. Rodeo was invented in San Antonio, as was the lasso.
The first actual documented use of a lasso is in San Antonio in the 1700s. You know, that a lot of these cattle raising techniques, they come out of the necessities of working on the open plains.
Who knew? With his wife working as his editor, Brandon Seal tells these stories with humor, but also with a fresh view of old events, like why we were so ripe for a revolution in 1813.
No town suffered for Mexican independence the way that San Antonio did. After the Battle of Medina, where 1,000 men died just south of town here, just south of the Medina River, the Spanish army marches into San Antonio and starts executing civilians, executes almost 300 of them. I mean, it's a brutal, brutal episode.
It was a public massacre, and the women were even forced to make tortillas for the very men killing their husbands. The freshness of this content comes from a new group of historians.
In the last 10 or 15 years, these guys have done a really, really amazing job of digging through the archival records, the Bear archives, but in Mexico City, in Spain, too.
Sort of new historical forensic investigations.
Crossed the San Antonio River and took up positions around the old mission.
San Antonio's first 160 years are covered in these podcast episodes. 16 so far are available on iTunes, with a new one every Tuesday. You can subscribe to the podcast, which, by the way, has 5-star reviews on iTunes. And best of all, it's free.